Hi there. In this video, we will talk about the impact of AI on accounting. In brief, we will go through some examples on using AI in financial accounting, managerial accounting, taxation, auditing, and fraud examination to show you that AI is not something in management, but it's heavily infused in every aspect of accounting and auditing. And I hope in this presentation, you will get some tools that you can use it later on, either for your study or for your career. So with this in mind, let us jump on into this presentation. So as I said, like the AI is making a huge revolution in the accounting field. How the AI is going into through the different aspects of accounting. Number one, automation. In different RPA like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, we can see that there developed some bots that can take the information from the documents like invoices and then can make the data entry. So automation, it's one of the big aspects that can reduce the error, enhance the efficiency, and then free up the time of the accountant from this time-consuming job to make different decisions. So automation is one of the issues that has been initiated by AI for data entry, invoice processing, and reconciliation among the different accounts. As I said, the usage of automation help to free up the time of the accountant to do some kind of analysis and decision making. So the AI also can identify the patterns and the trends in revenue, expenses, financial data that can help the decision maker to make the right decisions. And of course, machine learning can predict any anomalies in the data and discover any fraudulent transaction that might have happened. So those three aspects have been enhancing the production of work in the accounting. And also, as I said, this reduced the error, increase the efficiency of the accountant, and help to give better insights. So the AI analyzes lots of databases, identify the pattern, and help the people to make the right decision. So AI is honestly very useful in the area of accounting and auditing. And if we start talking about the different fields in accounting, like for example, the AI in the financial accounting, we can see number one, the AI took all the routine jobs. And if you go to, by the way, to UiPath website and download UiPath, it comes up with different bots that can help you to make data entry for invoices from PDF files. So if we have invoices comes from the accounts receivable department or from the cash register, the AI can take the information, try to validate the accounts, match it with the purchase order, and then do it in the journal, ledger, income statement, and so on. This invoice processing is very useful in the area of accounting, and it can be used by AI. Number two, the data entry. And here we can see that AI can help in making data entry starting from the original document, whether invoice or receipts or purchases or any kind of documents. And this will free up the time of the accountant and enhance the critical thinking and making some kind of decision making. The other issue that AI was used in accounting reconciliation. We know from the previous courses of accounting that usually the accountant has to manage the cash book with the bank statement and make some kind of bank reconciliation. The AI used the concept of reconciliation not only in this area of matching the general ledger with the bank statement, but we can use it to match the purchase order of the customer against the invoice, against the receipt, and then against the check. We do matching here, and this will help us to discover any fraud. So honestly, AI has been used in a useful way in the financial accounting. And this will help us to make some kind of prediction. So the AI developed some algorithm, and this can be useful also in Python. Python can help to predict the future of the revenue or expenses by making the code that can look at the massive data and try to make predictive modeling. So here we see the predictive modeling or predictive financial modeling became an easy life by using the AI. We used to spend a lot of time to do the same job on Excel, but now with the UI, the usage of AI and Python enhance the predictive value. And of course, detecting any kind of errors that might happen or fraudulent transactions. Uh, these jobs that has been made by the AI actually made a speed in the process of the information. So now we can see between the time that the invoice initiated and the generation of the financial statements, all of it, it could happen in a few seconds because the AI can capture the data and make all the process of the accounting and then come up with the financial statements. This is in one way, it enhanced the process. Number two, reduce the error. And number three, discover any anomalies. And from here, we can come up with a dynamic dashboard where we can see the fluctuation that happens in the accounts by the usage of the AI. And good example for that, the usage of Power BI. So this can show the decision maker real-time updates. We don't have to wait for the accountant a few days to get the results. With the usage of AI, we can get up-to-date, a clear, accurate picture about the business situation. So AI has been used in a very good way in financial accounting. It can help in predicting, as I said, the revenue. So we can predict based on the last 3 years or 5 years or even 10 years. With AI now, there is no limit for the number of years that we can use it to build up our financial model to forecast the revenue or the expenses. So the AI model can analyze the historical data regardless of the prior period to predict the future and help in making a strategic decision. In the same way for the cost accounts, the AI can help to build up the pattern for the cost, whether normal expenses or cost of goods sold or operating expenses. And this can predict our future expenses and can help us to make some kind of cost allocation to match the coming cost with the coming revenue and see how much a profit we can do. Of course, this can help us to assess any risk that might happen based on the historical data and predicting the financial challenges that might come across the company in the future. So financial accounting has been actually using the AI in multiple facets, starting from the revenue, going to the expenses, assets, liabilities, and so on. But we know that nobody's perfect. There is a possibility of fraud in every company. So the AI and especially machine learning can help to learn from the prior years if there is any inconsistency that might happen in the data and can identify any anomalies or unusual transaction. So the AI can identify any outliers in the financial data that may indicate future, fraudulent activities. For example, if unusual expenses happen or unusual sales happen, we might identify. We know in idea caseware, which I use it in auditing class, we can use Benford law that can identify any outliers in the data. The AI can build up on machine learning and using Benford law to do the same. So AI honestly is going extra mile ahead of the classical way that we did it in auditing. AI can be used to detect the fraudulent claims, such as insurance fraud or tax fraud. So the AI can easily predict any duplicate payment or any unusual claim or any unusual tax evasion, we can use AI now to discover this fraudulent act very easily. Also, the AI can be used to monitor the real-time transaction by building a dynamic dashboard. If something unusual came into the accounting cycle, then the AI can also make an alert for this kind of unusual transaction. So in financial accounting, we used AI extensively. In the coming slides, I will give you a good example because I know in the presentation, we get excited when we see the advancement of AI in accounting, but you might wonder, how can I use it in my initial stage now, where I didn't have much experience of AI? I say, if I go to ChatGPT, for example, and I make this prompt, and we can use this one on a free version of a ChatGPT. You can just send a very simple question, which I did it. Tell me about the annual depreciation for a tractor or any equipment that was purchased for this amount with a salvage value for this amount for a useful life of 8 years. Very simple questions. We used to do this in paper in accounting, but now with ChatGPT can take the calculation, make the depreciation for you and give it to you. This one, time saving. Number two, more accurate. But then you can extend your discussion with the ChatGPT, and then you say, well, in the same scenario, what would be the annual depreciation under the double declining method? So now we can ask a ChatGPT to shift from a straight line to double declining, and a ChatGPT will answer it instantly. So now, which is better, to use a ChatGPT to do the time-consuming job, the mundane work, and give us the time to do a decision based on the calculation of the depreciation? Of course, a ChatGPT is providing a lot of service for the accounting in the area of calculation of depreciation. We can also use the ChatGPT to get some kind of updates about the FAS 167. And here we can see that the ChatGPT can give us a lot of insight about the financial accounting standard that has been issued in this area and what might happen in the coming scenarios. Then when do you consolidate VIE under FAS 167? And here I'm trying to show you how can I use a ChatGPT for calculation, for giving me updates about the different standard, and how can I make my time useful to make a decision based on that. I know ChatGPT is not perfect and it can give you absurd answers, which is fine. We can verify it. But in general, using the AI can help us to save our time from doing the routine job and then start making decisions. We can also ask here, for example, give me an example of segregation of duties that can help on controlling the cash. And we can see that the ChatGPT give us, like what are the different jobs that we can do it to segregate the cash handling and make internal control over the assets. So this is a very brief example. We can do this on Claude. We can do it on other platform. But I'm trying to show you that the ChatGPT now can give us very simple way of the calculation, update on the accounting standard, and help us to free our time and make the right decision. Now let me shift the gear and talk about the managerial accounting. Can we use the AI in managerial accounting? Absolutely. Actually, the most field that has been benefited from AI is managerial accounting. Why? Because in managerial accounting, we tend to make planning, budgeting, optimization of our resource, and this is what AI can help us with. And I'm going to show you that Power BI, Tableau, or even coding or UiPath can help you to make the right decision very quickly and try to see what might happen in the future. So managerial accounting, we know from the introduction to managerial accounting, if you don't have any idea, that's totally fine. You can just Google it on YouTube, that we do budgeting at the beginning of the year. we get the actual number at the end of the year, and we try to match the actual with the budget to see the variances. So the AI can help us to make intelligent budgeting using algorithm to analyze the historical data from the prior years, and based on that, build the budget for the coming year. And this way will help us to optimize the resource allocation to reduce the inefficiency and make use of our limited resource to maximize our profit. And here we can do, for the budgeting, we can make predictive analytics where we can use the historical data to predict the future of revenue, expense, resources, and also this can include the cash budget, the capital budget. So not only the operating budget, but we can do the asset budgeting as well. And this will help us to see where the company is heading to. We can do even automated budget allocation where we can see what are our goals, our strategy, and how can we use our resources to achieve our goals. We can do this by building scenarios. And by the way, the scenario planning can be even found on Excel. So if you go to Microsoft Excel, with your data, you can build different scenarios. And according to that, you can actually go back and adjust your data to meet your scenario. So the AI actually has been using the scenario planning effectively, and this can help us to make use of every resource we have, it either fixed assets or labors or cash or inventory, and this can help the company to achieve the goal with the minimum amount of consumption. The AI can analyze the historical data, predict the future demand, enable efficient resource allocation. It can optimize the algorithm, identify where the bottleneck in the production, and allocate the resources strategically. AI is very good in that because if we are in a manufacturing company, the AI can predict the throughput where we see the material going into the production and how much time with how much resources we can use to predict the outcome of the production. So this way has been used significantly in managerial accounting, and we can do our scenario planning, as I said, by forecasting the outcome, either by using Excel or using Power BI or Tableau or any other coding like Python. It can help to predict where we are heading to. And we can assess any potential risk under different scenarios. So the AI, honestly, is being used extensively in managerial accounting. And I will show you in the coming slides that we can use Power BI or Tableau in the area of managerial accounting. So for example, here, we can use Power BI. And Power BI, it's the advanced version of Excel. So if anybody knows Excel, he should be able to find a way of handling Power BI. The issue or the difference between Power BI and Excel is the tools. And the way of the outlay of the tools is different. But if we spend some time going through Power BI tools, I don't think that we will regret it because it's very useful. It can help me here if I go to Power BI and try to make a bar chart showing the revenue by state in ascending order. I did this actually in one of my classes where we can use Power BI, getting the data from the IRS and then try to visualize it here. We can also use Tableau here to see the revenue forecast based on the prior history. Tableau is very easy. It's a very easy software where you can get the Excel file, put it on Tableau, and try to play with the different graphs, the dimensions, and the values, and then you can build up the visualization here. We can also use Power BI, as you can see here, to see the regression for the expense. And we can see where is the expenses are heading to. Is there any correlation between the expenses or there is no correlation? So here we use the machine learning approach of making prediction about the expenses. So as you can see, the AI has been doing very good job with managerial accounting. We can also use here Tableau to do the cost volume profit. And I hope you still remember this from the prior economic class or accounting class, where we measure the fixed and variable cost against the revenue to identify the area here of the break-even point where the cost will be equal revenue. And Tableau can do this for us very easily. We can also use Tableau here to explain the function of analyzing the revenue against the cost of goods sold. And we can here highlight how much revenue compared to the cost of goods sold will give me how much profit. So this very simple example, and as you can see here, we get this data from the Excel, and based on that, we put it on Tableau and try to come up with the analysis. So actually, Power BI and Tableau are very good AI tools that can help us with managerial accounting. On the other hand, we can build dynamic dashboard here on Power BI. As you can see here, if I change something, I can see the outcome here comes on the other hand. So the Power BI visualization or even Excel, if you spend some time, you can build a dynamic dashboard where one item is changed, then you can see the impact of this change on the other accounts. So if we increase our cost of goods sold, what will happen to the revenue, to the net income, to the assets? And this is very dynamic that can help the CEO to make the right decision instantly. So here we can tell that AI is very useful in financial accounting for the data entry, data reconciliation, data generation, making decision, and managerial accounting regarding the budget and the allocation of the resources. Now let me shift the gear into the area of taxation, where we can see, do you think the AI might be helpful in tax preparation and tax saving? Of course it can, because here in taxation, we can automate the tax preparation. We know some of the taxation office here, like H&R Block and other offices, they use taxation, and I think there is other softwares on taxation that can help you to plug in your number and then you get your tax. So the AI software can gather the financial data, complete the tax form, calculate your tax instantly. We used to do it on paper, but now we don't have to. We can also do some tax planning so the company can see when the company should buy the asset or distribute the dividends to see what is the impact of this on the taxation. The AI analyzes tax laws, regulation to identify any tax saving and ensure the compliance. And that's very good. It's very useful for the company. And here I just put a very simple example that in traditional filing, we spend a lot of time and we might actually make some error if we do the 1040 by our hands. But when we go to the AI automation, then it can take our numbers from W2 form and build up our tax report instantly, which will save our time, reduce our error, help us to make planning about our tax situation. So the AI-powered tax optimization, it's an algorithm that can analyze a lot of data, especially if the company has subsidiary in different countries with different currencies, with different tax regimes. Then the AI can help us to collect this data and identify the areas that we can use it for tax saving. It can help us also to watch the changes in a real time monitoring, so we can track the tax law changes and see the impact on our income immediately. We can also automate the tax filing. We don't have to do everything in paper, but we can do it online. So the area of using AI in taxation has been very useful because it can save the company a lot of money. It can help us to see the deductions and the credits in the tax, and even the tax credit from any tax treaty between one country and the other. It can help with the planning strategy for the tax, recommend tax efficient investment. So if we would like to buy a piece of property, or if we'd like to buy another company or make merger and acquisition, the AI can give us the impact on the taxes immediately. And it can even give us real-time tax alerts, monitor the changes and the impact on our income. So the infusion of AI into the different accounts, the different fields of accounting has been growing exponentially. And now it's the time for us as accountant and auditor to catch up with the progress. We don't have to be up to date now, but at least to put our feet on the track. So hopefully we can adapt the AI technology to save our time and help us making the right decision. Now let us shift the gear into auditing. And we use a lot of AI for a long time in auditing for data collection, data validation, and now continuous auditing. And I'm going to touch base on this one, by the way. We know classically, we used to go once a year to do the auditing in a company for 1 week at the end of the financial year, and then make sampling. And based on the sample, we make our judgment as auditor whether the financial statements are in compliance with the US GAAP or the international standard. But now, when I'm going to talk to you about blockchain and cryptocurrency, where everything happening instantly, can we do auditing here? In fact, the blockchain itself is providing continuous auditing because it's a distributed ledger. If something happened in one node, it will be rejected by the other ones unless there is an agreement here. So in the blockchain, we do 24/7 auditing. And the AI can monitor the financial data here, the financial transaction, and identify any issue early. We don't need, now with continuous auditing, we don't need sampling. We can do the whole population in auditing. And this is very good because now we will reduce our audit risk almost to zero because we are auditing the whole population of documents instead of making sampling. In continuous auditing, we collect everything continuously, and then we can identify any unusual transaction or risks immediately. We can automate the risk assessment, and that's a very good one because we make our risk assessment based on the sample. But if we audit all the population, our assessment for the risk, it will be really improved. We can analyze all the data to identify any fraud immediately. And this can help to make a big scope of the audit. So instead of having our scope on the sample, auditing, but now we can expand our coverage to cover all the accounts. So honestly, with AI, life became easy for the auditor. And instead of collecting the sample and reviewing the sample, the auditor now doesn't have to do it. The auditor can spend more time to analyze the data and make better decision, come up to a good opinion, validate the information. So the role of the auditor will shift from the routine job into decision-making job, and then can give a good opinion to the audit committee and the board of directors. So as I said, in the AI, we have better scope because we can identify and analyze the high risk area immediately. And we can do this automated. We don't have to do anything manual. So if we enlarge our scope of audit, this means that I can easily identify any risk that might happen. So the AI can analyze vast amount of data to identify any risk. And we can see that now the auditor will become more free to spend more time on critical thinking. And this honestly is making a big alarm for the auditors because some auditors, they feel that they might not have a job over the coming 5-10 years. Honestly, I cannot predict the future, but I say the auditor has to think strategically now. And instead of spending time to do the manual work himself, the auditor should give his job to the AI and make more customer-centered, to give decisions, to give consulting to the customer, to help making a better discussion with the audit committee. rather than spending the time to collect the information. So auditing became very appealing job with the usage of AI, because AI can save our time. We don't have to work 60 hours a week to collect the data. The AI can do it instantly now with the continuous auditing. Now let me shift the gear to the last piece of my presentation, which is the AI in fraud examination. And this became an easy job for machine learning, because we used to have fraud examination based on the skills and the analysis of the auditor, where the auditor can identify the transaction and try to investigate it. With machine learning, if we feed the machine with all the data from the prior years, the machine can make deep learning by using the hidden layer and then try to predict the pattern. This way, it makes our life easy to discover any fraud. So the AI algorithms can identify unusual spending pattern and transaction based on the prior years. We can easily identify it. And we can also identify the behavioral analysis. It can analyze the behavior, identify any red flags. How can we do that? By just tracing the expenses. If I trace the expenses of the sales department over the 10 years, I can pretty much predict how much expenses should be made in conferences, in visits, in consulting, in a marketing campaign, and then I can predict if there is any fraud happen during this time. As I said, the scope of this presentation is not to go into the technical work, but to give you an update of how the AI can be used in a good way in accounting, auditing, and fraud examination. How can we identify the suspicious transaction? First, we build the pattern by using machine learning. We can analyze a lot of data set, whether from financial, which is structured, into unstructured or unsupervised data from the environment, from the culture of the company, from the subsidiary or the relationship with the stakeholders. This can help the machine to build up the pattern. And then based on the pattern, we see if there is any outlier happened, either in the expenses or in the behaviors. Why the company start to build up extra inventory? Meanwhile, the sales is not really going well. So this can show up the outlier based on the pattern, and then we can do some kind of monitoring. And this way, we don't have to chase one specific suspect or fraudster, but we can analyze the behavior and can help us to identify the transaction very easily without any interrogation. So before we interrogate anyone, we can easily identify the fraud. The behavioral analysis, and here we monitor the pattern in the financial transaction and flag unusual activities like entertainment, conferences, expense padding. We can see from the outliers. The behavioral profiling, the AI model can analyze historical data to build a profile about the employee behavior. So we can build a profile about the sales manager or the accounting manager or the production manager or the storekeeper. We can build a pattern about their expenses, and then we can see if any of these patterns didn't work well, we can investigate it. Once we make our pattern, we can predict what might happen, and then we can build up the internal control to prevent the fraud. So we do risk assessment, and then we make detection for the fraud, and then we try to make use of our resource to eliminate the fraud in the future. So honestly, the AI is very good in doing this, and the AI can help to collect a lot of data in a short time and build up our pattern for detection. In the same line, when we do forensic accounting, we can use AI in collecting digital evidence. And this is very easy because I know, like when we start to come into the data, from emails or from computers, either volatile data or non-volatile. The AI can help me to get a lot of digital evidence in a very short time. There is tons of software in the market and using AI to collect the data, even if from deleted information. We can collect data from here. And then we can automate the investigation. So the AI became extensively used in the area of forensic accounting because we can use different softwares and application and even the cloud-based to the cloud provider to give us some access to the data and try to analyze it. The digital evidence collection, it happens in the data acquisition, whether we get it from volatile system, I mean from the RAM, or non-volatile like the hard disk or the USB and so on. And we can make data preservation where we can keep the data in a clean copy and then we can run it in the forensic lab. And this is what I usually teach in the area of forensic accounting, how to get the data, how to preserve the data so we can provide it in the court, and how can we make our analysis on the data. Then we do investigation and we build up our case, and the AI can help us to build our report as expert witness to deliver it to the court. So the AI can analyze the amount of data, create timelines, map the events to identify if anything happened in this time, and then try to come up with the case. Once we do that, we can make reconstruction for our data where we can collect the data and start building up our report. And then we can see the ethical side of the AI. So the adoption challenges and ethical consideration, it became a very issue, by the way, where they talk about AI ethics and governance of data. So the implementation of AI in accounting require careful consideration of potential challenges. One of them is the privacy issue. The other one is the bias. Because if we feed our system with biased data, we might get biased results, and we need to be careful about this one. Then the data privacy and security, as I said, we have to follow up the rules and the regulations in the data privacy and security. So we handle sensitive financial data requiring robust security. And we have to be sure that if we use data on the cloud, that we have access and we keep the access confidential so nobody can get access to the data. Compliance with the regulation and data anonymization, so we don't disclose any confidential or private information about our customers to the public. The bias, as I said, it is an issue, and I see it clearly that it doesn't mean because we use AI, we are biased free. No, we could have bias. Yes, it's not as high as human bias, but it could be a bias that might impact our finding. So we have to make sure that we are fair and the models are fair and reflect the reality of the data. Explainability and trust, that understanding how AI algorithm make decision is crucial for building the model that we can trust. And we have to be transparent and give access to the people according to their role, which we call it data governance here. So we don't have people to work on silo, but they have to be in harmony with the remaining people, and then we use it with control or access or limited access or password to the different people. How can we upskill the accounting people? Number one, the AI literacy. All the accountants and the auditor, they have to become literate in the area of using AI in accounting and auditing. And this can enhance our data analytical skills. And it's better to learn some kind of coding, either Python or Java or C++ or even VBA, the Visual Basic. All of them are very good for the accountant to start building up the foundation for using AI. In brief, the AI, as I said from this brief presentation, became almost in every line of accounting and auditing. And the integration actually give us a lot of advantage. Number one, helping us to save our time, get better control of the data, minimize the error, and help us to become decision maker rather than bookkeepers. Sorry. The takeaways that we can get from this presentation is using AI is going to increase our efficiency, improve our accuracy to reduce the error, help us to get better insights about the data and make decision making. The limitations in AI, number one, automation. Yes, automation is good, but there is always a possibility. We have to check every now and then that the system is capturing all the data, and this will free up the time of the accountant, improve insights. AI can analyze large data set to identify trends and patterns. The AI could have bias, and it could have some kind of breach of data contract if we don't have control over this one. The last one is what is the road ahead? What is the roadmap? Number one, we need to augment our usage of AI tools. And the AI tools should not replace the human judgment, but it will enhance the efficiency of the people. Number two, we need to foster the collaboration. People in the accounting department or the auditing has to work together in teams. And this is what we do it, by the way, here in the college. We believe that not one person is perfect. All of us, we work together. And finally, continuous learning. We keep updating ourselves. I hope you find this short presentation useful to give you an orientation about the usage of AI in financial accounting, managerial accounting, auditing, taxation, fraud examination, and forensic accounting. Thank you. Bye-bye.